Greetings, sentient beings. This broadcast is not intended for children. There will be strong language and adult themes.
Oh. So, don't really know anything about this guy.
Well, St Urho was a Finnish saint who was credited with driving out a plague of grasshoppers. How one man is responsible for driving out a plague of grasshoppers, well, we don't really need to go into that. The most likely origin of this holiday is actually that it was made up by people in northern Minnesota sometime in the 1950s because they wanted an excuse to party and didn't want to give the Irish credit for it.
Okay. Well, any excuse to party, I guess.
The funny thing is, while we're almost certain this was made up in the US, it is now celebrated back in Finland.
Huh.
And it has also been recognized as a holiday that they have to give time off of work to members of several Chicago labor unions.
Okay.
To me, this sounds like a joke that's just gotten out of hand.
Yeah, it does. Anybody in the chat want to say hi? Let's see anybody.
Yeah, I don't see anyone out there yet.
Yeah.
It says there's 5 people here, so there's got to be a couple of people.
Yeah.
I had a poem for St Urho at one point, but I couldn't find it now.
There's somebody. Mr. Shadow Kitty.
Hey, Shadow Kitty.
Florida keeps working towards being a shitty state.
Yeah. Which piece do you want to bring up now?
Florida bill would give courts power to change custody rights if a child seeks gender-affirming care.
Oh, is that the one that makes it okay for them to kidnap a kid from another state?
Yep. Senate Bill 254.
I just can't wait to see that go to a district court.
Oh, yeah.
They're all about states' rights, and they're talking about actually going into another state to do this. Yeah, that's not going to fly even if you've got a Republican judge.
This sounds like something I'd expect more out of Texas, honestly.
This is about the only state I think might go along with it.
Let's see, apparently this is coming out of Tallahassee, Florida.
They've also got one that they're trying to push through to outlaw the Democratic Party.
Republican State Senator Clay Yarborough. Do we know who to blame? It's lovely.
Yeah, and now we got Jinzu out there.
Yeah. Hey, but that's that. No one on support of this bill even knows what gender-affirming care is.
Okay, and he says there's one that girls will no longer be able to talk about their periods.
Yeah, I didn't hear about that one.
Yeah, no, that's Jen, you got some more info on that one? So, yeah, the problem is that we don't just have Florida man. You've managed to elect him to several state offices.
He's moving up in the world.
Yeah, well, always had that old adage that any kid could grow up to be president. I think Trump pretty much proved that. Now we're all sorry for it.
Yeah. I'm not finding anything on this so far. We got Florida High School Athletic Association Board of Directors rejected the proposal in February 2023 that would have required high school girls to answer 4 questions about their menstrual cycle in order to play on school sports teams. The question had previously been optional.
Yeah. I thought there had also been something in there about, the state wanting to track their menstrual cycles. Rather than being an anti-trans thing, that sounded like it was a, anti-abortion thing, that they wanted to know if any girls were late for their period, because if they had a period after that, then they must have had an abortion.
It could actually work both ways by the sound of this.
Yeah. Well, a bit of personal stuff. I had eye checkups today, so it's only about half an hour ago that I actually got my vision back to normal. It's been blurry all afternoon and evening.
I still need to get my eyes examined at some point here.
Yeah. I just got another example that my age is starting to catch up with me. Oh, there's Jenny.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, sorry. I just kind of forgot what I was supposed to be doing.
That's okay.
Well, old age catches up to you and all that.
Yeah, I'm pretty old. I'll admit that. But at least never mind.
So what's been going on with you?
Not a damn thing. I spent most of today sleeping. That's it. I didn't even have any good dreams, just sleeping. Had spaghetti for dinner.
Sometimes sleep without dreams can be a good thing.
Yeah, especially the dreams I get.
Oh, Jen, I see you've observed what's going on in Florida, hey?
Yeah, I was just talking about one of the other bills that would allow them to basically kidnap kids.
Yep, that's right. It's not,
Hey, Commander.
It's not effectively. It is kidnapping, plain and simple.
Yeah, because it could go against a court order for who has custody.
It's just so totally wrong. It's just.
And Paul Temple. Paul, I don't know you. If we've run into each other somewhere before. Angie. Yeah, well, Florida is not interested in anybody having rights.
No, not at all. That's why they just. Oh no, that was Texas that did that. Texas it led to a new concept in government that if the governor does not like who the people elected, he just fires them all and picks his own people.
Yep. Hey, Randy.
Yeah, I keep thinking that Florida and Texas are in some kind of competition for the bottom.
Well, all the Republicans are in a contest to see who can be the most cruel. It's been that way for years, and it's just getting worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, it just seems Florida and Texas are particularly that contest.
Yeah. Yeah, the phrase performative cruelty is being used more and more in reference to state legislatures.
Mm-hmm. I think that's an excellent term. We should do our best to spread it out.
Oh, just before...
It's definitely a good description of it.
just before we went live, I was listening to a David Pakman show. He was talking about how Marjorie Taylor Greene was blurting out top secret information.
Yeah, I saw that.
Oh, is this about related to Ukraine stuff or what?
No, border crossing.
Border.
Go ahead, Mage. It's yours.
Well, you basically would say what I was going to say. I mean, you should just blurring the stuff out, trying all that. So.
Apparently, a explosive device was found somewhere near the border, and they supposedly also have surveillance footage of who put it there, and supposedly can insist or prove that they are not Americans, but it was put there by people who work for the cartels, the drug cartels, and in hopes of blowing up a border crossing agent. Okay, and in the congressional hearing on a live mic, she explained, "Oh, well, what about this bomb and stuff like that?" And the guy from I believe he was Mexican. I'm not sure, but I believe he's a Mexican law official. She asked him, "Are you aware that this is going on?" And he looked just shocked to hell, and he says, "Yeah, but we usually don't talk about these sorts of things in public while they're still under investigation." And she comes back with, "Well, I don't care." What? And she's on the intelligence committee? What the fuck is wrong with this woman?
Well, it's what we've been saying all along. They don't know not to say the quiet part out loud.
Well, if she had two brain cells to rub together, she'd have two brain cells to rub together.
It's just shocking.
Now, here I was hoping that they were trying to blow.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Here I was hoping that they were just trying to blow up the U.S. Mexican border.
Yeah, make a big pit. A fence doesn't work. Let's make a big pit.
Well, just kind of separate the continent there and let Mexico drift a little further south.
I think there wasn't there other Republican trying to propose going to war with Mexico?
Once again, it's Marjorie Taylor Greene. She has introduced legislation that will declare war on the cartels.
Okay, was she also Trump himself had the idea of shooting missiles into Mexico at the cartel.
Oh, that's a lovely idea.
Yeah, let's just shoot missiles into another country's sovereign land and see if they mind it at all.
Well, here's one solution. We either decriminalize or legalize all the drugs, and that will basically undercut all these cartels.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be very good for the population.
Yeah, it would be good. It would be quite good for the population.
No, I'm sorry.
Not if we're randomly firing missiles and.
There are certain drugs
ahead.
And stuff that it's ridiculous to have them outlawed because they don't hurt people like marijuana, like alcohol, like cigarette. Well, yes, those things can all hurt people, but the dosage has to be massive, or the time you're taking them has to be massive, and it's a completely different situation than say heroin, where you can do a single shot and be dead, or fentanyl or things like that.
That's what I was saying. We decriminalize or legalize. So it doesn't necessarily mean we are legalizing all of them. And the stuff that is really really harmful, and someone is that desperate to put it into the body, we can set up locations where they can have medical staff on hand and to take care of any emergencies like that. Plus, we can also make sure that what they're getting is actually pure instead of cut with something that could be seriously dangerous. So yeah, it would be an improvement.
Yeah.
I think you're all being very positive about this, but the likelihood of all the illegal drugs stopping if you do something like that is just a fool's paradise. I'm sorry. Well, the cartels are making shitload of money off of this, and they're not going to stop. they're going to find some way to peddle their wares.
It'd be a hell of a lot harder to peddle with it when they have to compete with actual regulated prices.
Well, I'm not going to argue that.
We see this happen with alcohol. We saw this happen with marijuana. Or actually, so we are seeing this happen with marijuana.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And those are fine because they're not drugs that are going to completely disrupt society and things like this. Stuff like the opiates. If you got those legal and everybody's drunken out on them, that is going to hurt society. Because and meth, these things, we see what they do to people.
Again,
it's not the same as pot. It's not the same.
And I'm not saying that we treat it the same.
That's right, and so therefore we should keep it illegal.
No, we should we should
decriminalize
it. That's not making it legal. That's just saying that you're not going to be treated as a criminal for taking it. You can be treated it as in a medical situation then.
Yeah, like that's going to work. You can't take an addict and say, we're going to treat you for your addiction and you're going to be a non-user when we're done. That doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. Way less than 30% of people who ever go through treatment for an addiction ever come out of it clean at the end.
And most of our treatment are religious based. We should go for a more scientific based method. It's in psychological based.
Yeah, it definitely should be more on actual psychological research. Because most of the drug programs are modeled after AA, which the first thing on AA is surrender yourself to a higher power. So if you actually don't believe there is any higher power, where does that leave you? You've kind of dropped out of the program before you started.
It's not exactly treating the chemical addiction and all that well either. There is some benefit to it being you have the social circle to help you there, but which, far as we can tell with some tests, that has helped. But there's definitely more that we could do.
Yeah, and there has been a lot done with it in other countries.
Ending the
Sorry, go Jenny.
Is the easy part.
Yeah, prostitution is another separate issue on that.
Yeah, I wonder what the religious freaks are going to do about Nevada when they get a little bit more power.
Get kickbacks from the casino owners and pretend to ignore it.
Yeah. Hey, we mentioned a time or two that after during the show, last show or show before, that there's a gigantic process that's going to be going nationwide on the 31st. To at least speak our piece about these insane anti-LGBT trans bills that are going down everywhere. They're looking to get as many people as they possibly can in every major city. They're all going to start at the same time and finish at the same time. You can search it on Google and find the websites that'll explain it all to you, along with posters and stuff if you want to print them and post them places. Mm-hmm. But one of the other interesting things that's been coming up almost hand in hand with this is the idea that I've heard other people speak of it, but it seems to be catching on, that all cis women need to take the time, who are allies and want to be involved in this politically. They have to take the time to get all dressed up in a complete drag appearance and go out and dance on the street corner or something and get arrested. And then you have a real good grounds for false arrest, because they only get arrested. It's only drag if it's not for your gender. and so they can nail them good. And you have say 500 women do that on a weekend in a city like Memphis or something. That's going to clog their courts like fucking crazy. And all of them will be dismissed because it does not meet the requirements of the law. It's false arrest. So I'd like to encourage everybody out in chat to consider doing that and looking up the information on the protest march, March 31st, the day of trans visibility.
Yeah, it definitely does create.
I'm just wondering if they have this whole thing about not being able to wear your outfit that doesn't match your sex for Florida as well.
I don't know. Every state's threats are different. I wouldn't even call them laws; they're threats.
Yeah, I'm just kind of curious about that since I have a friend who prefers wearing guys' clothes even though they're not trans, but it's just more comfortable for them.
And this is
Well, if they pass that,
this is a female at birth, assigned female birth person.
The cis female, they just prefer wearing guys' t-shirts and cargo pants.
Technically, she's in violation of those laws and could get arrested for that.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking.
There's a cosplay convention going down in Tennessee. I forget which city, but it's coming up real soon, and people are out there passing TikTok videos about watch yourself. Don't dance on the street or anything like that, because that's the criteria for getting arrested, is performing. If there's kids at the place, don't completely avoid them. Don't let them into your show if you're going to have a show. Don't interact with them. And if you really want to be smart, just don't fucking come and spend any money in this goddamn state. And I think that most of all we should all be doing is to just absolutely boycott the hell out of these states on every way we can. Money is the only thing these people understand.
I think another interesting angle for it too, that Texas has extended the bounty hunter law.
Yeah.
That they had about people seeking abortion to people dressing as trans. So what if you just, staked out some corporate office buildings and arrested any women who were wearing business suits?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think that, the criteria is going to be that they're going to have to prove that a particular garment was made for male specifications or female specifications. Okay. So if you got a woman who's in business and she's wearing a business suit, a woman's business suit to work, that's not going to qualify. That's not, because it's going to be labeled with a woman's manufacturer. When it comes to jeans or something like that, well, that's a whole bunch of different gray area there.
Yeah, well, they're definitely going to run into a lot of problems with people that, they say they can always tell, but they're going to find a lot of cis people that don't look quite like they expect that gender to look.
Well, and that's the whole point of this regular women getting out there and dressing in drag. Is to fuck with their definitions, to show them how stupid ass their law is.
I think it's great. So.
Yep. But that's it has to be something that it's going to become a hassle for the people in power. Your thing about cis women getting arrested for drag would be good because, like you say, that the police and the courts would have to deal with that, and it would not take long for them to get sick of it.
Yeah, this would probably have to be something that happens more than once.
Oh, absolutely. Women need to make it get involved with the movement and do it on a regular basis. Has
And
anybody
Megan,
seen the movie? Oh, let's see. Had Patrick Swayze and I think Wesley Snipes in it. Fu Wang Du or something. And thank you, Julie Newmar. It was a film about all these transvestites and drag queens in the southern states somewhere. It was made back in the 90s. There's a really interesting scene in there that I recall, where this deputy, state patrol deputy of some sort, comes into this small town, toting his shotgun and demanding that everybody turn in the drag queens, that he's going to arrest all the drag queens right now. And the whole town pretty much kind of circles around this guy, and everybody claims to be a drag queen. Everyone.
Tu Wong Fu.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
I know I saw it, but yeah, it's been like 15 years ago. I don't remember much of it.
I'm not sure if I've seen this. I might have to watch it.
Well, imagine that happening in real life. It's like the film. It's like the film Spartacus, when everybody stands up and says, "I am Spartacus. I am Spartacus. I am Spartacus." If
Yeah.
everybody says they're the guilty party, what are you going to do?
Mm.
Especially if you have more confessions than you have police officers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this looks like an entertaining movie. I might have to watch it.
Maybe some night we should have a trans movie festival.
Oh, well, we could, I suppose, get one or two films in. There's many made out there.
Yep. There are a couple that got to be fairly famous in the mainstream, though, that a lot of people probably haven't seen.
And if their law makes wearing drag all this illegal, what happens in a theater if a theater owner shows a film that has drag people in it or trans people in it? What are they going to do? Arrest him?
That's a good
Confiscate the
point.
film?
Yeah, I haven't seen how the law would be written to cover that. What if somebody did a public showing of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert?
They left it real broad. They make very few definitions in the law, so they can pretty much approach it any way they want.
I'd love to see them doing a raid of the Rocky Horror Picture Show showing.
Uh-huh. And a lot of places that's an every Saturday night thing. Well, it used to be anyways. I don't know if it still is, but and people love to go cosplay to the movie. So that means that they can get busted too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I expect that Florida and Texas are probably already going to have trouble booking any like national sci-fi conventions or things like that.
Yeah, that's true.
And again, like Jenny was saying, hit them in the pocketbook. If they're not getting the tourist money, that's going to hurt them.
Especially Florida.
Yeah, the hotel owners are going to bitch about that.
Yeah, that's definitely a good way of attacking Florida. Is hit the tourist industry.
Well, when that first bathroom bill came out, and all the corporations jumped on board and said, we're going to cancel events in your state, and they did. We're not going to schedule things in your state, and they didn't. The states bent over and said, okay, you win, and put it all away for about 5, 6, 7 years now, until now.
Mm-hmm. Well, because I think they've got enough public opinion behind them now.
No, you see, that's the thing. I don't think they do. I think they only have the political opinion behind them, that they've gerrymandered and everything and taken power in all the right places, that they can just do whatever they fucking want.
Oh, no, I just said they think they have the public opinion behind them. I think they're wrong, but I think that's what they're working on, is they think that they have enough people who will support it that it's going to get them reelected.
I'm having trouble remembering the name of the group, the ADF, ADL. It's the religious group that is behind all of this. That these are the guys who have breakfast and lunch and dinner with judges all the way up to the Supreme Court. They're the people who hang out with the politicians, including the Donald Trumps and Mark Gates and Greg Abbotts, and create the laws that they're not pushing in their states and stuff like that. It's all one goddamn religious group that's pushing it. This group was founded by what's his name? He founded the Family Research Council and some other things. God, I hate getting old and forgetting all these names. Anyways, it was the same religious guy who was fucking around with us 10, 20, 30 years ago with these religious zealotries and stuff. And now they've done this so well. It's so quietly, so behind the scenes. They've succeeded. We are losing this war.
Well, except as Commander 401 just pointed out here, the 2022 election did not go as they had expected, that they lost a number of state legislatures, and for being a midterm election, they didn't pick up nearly as many seats as you normally do in a midterm.
Well, if we lose in 2024, it's all over with. That's a for sure. If we do well in 2024 and can get back the House of Representatives and keep the Senate, and we'll still have Biden around. Yeah, there's things that we can do to prevent this from happening and to stop the progress that they've made and things like that, assuming the politicians are motivated to do it. Yes, Alliance Defending Freedom, that's correct. Go look these pricks up and read their policies and stuff like that. Their goals that they've outlined are absolutely terrifying. They sit there in their publicly written statements about how they want to bring Christ into all things in the government, that they want all the laws to be Christ-based, that they want all the punishments to be Christ-based, that religion just be absolutely in charge of everything.
Yeah, the Southern Baptist College has also been one pushing a lot of this.
These are the people who are winning this war. We have got to stop it.
Well, we need to get people to realize that they're just picking on trans people now because they think they're an easy target. There aren't enough of them for them to be worried about. But, it's just a matter of time until they get down far enough on the list to hit a group that you're involved with. Because they're going to just be picking off one group after another once they have a victory.
Well, if this behavior that Greg Abbott is showing of firing entire school boards and stuff like that, and stuffing it with his own people, these are elected positions, I think that's probably unconstitutional somehow, isn't it? I'm certainly not a lawyer, but it just would seem to make sense that you can't do that. These were elected by the people. You can't just
Sounds
throw them out.
unconstitutional.
I'm sorry, what?
Sounds unconstitutional.
Yeah.
I expect it is. The problem is you need someone who has the resources to not only fight the case, but to appeal it until they at least get up to the level of a district court. Otherwise, they're pretty much dealing with the people that the governor appointed anyway.
Well, they own most of the district courts too.
Alliance Defending Freedom. Parents have
Yeah,
a
and the other grounds is Mothers for Liberty.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
these women have got to be stopped. There are this very small group that has been getting out to all 50 states and recruiting people deceptively to make them think they're actually for true liberty, when they're really just another arm of the religious Taliban to bring the Taliban to America. And they're attacking specifically school boards, okay, and running their own people from the organization into the school board elections and stuff, getting them in to control everything. Their intent is to decimate the public school system and to end it all and to make nothing but private schools and religious schools and stop educating people at 12 years old.
I'm just laughing at them.
Because at 12 years old, they can then become child labor, which, oh my, isn't that just interesting how that's changing now?
No, I'm just laughing at them because what I'm reading here, parents have a fundamental human right to direct the upbringing of their children, and all these big bold letters. Well, apparently they need to tell that to Florida.
I don't know. Randy says we've already lost. I don't think we've lost yet, but yeah, it's pretty scary out there, and we definitely need to get everybody out to vote. And, along with what Jenny was saying there.
Tell you what, show me the last victory we had.
Huh?
Show me the latest victory we've had.
Yeah, well, that's, we can't just wait until the presidential election to vote. People need to get out and vote in the local elections too.
There was a pretty shitty bill that got shot down recently. What was that? Let's see.
There's been so much crap that's gone through.
Small win, but it was still a win.
Well, in Minnesota, we've had a couple of wins. Legislation passing here to make it a sanctuary state. I don't know if that's officially passed the Senate yet, but it got through the House, and there was definitely plenty of support for it passing.
There has been a Senate victory in Minnesota. Just recently, last couple of days. But I don't recall if it's just the sanctuary law or just a statement of equal rights.
I think that was tied into the same bill.
Maybe, I don't know that. I haven't seen it, so I can't answer.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure either.
Yeah, I can't find it right now.
But people, I realize that we harp on this a lot, or I harp on this a lot, and I apologize because there's other things to talk about and fun to have and stuff like that. But there are lives on the line. This is a legitimate, true genocide beginning. If you look at the papers that explain genocide and the steps that have to occur for it to become a genocide, we're on like step 7. Okay, of like a 10 or 12 step program. This is real. This is happening, and it is destroying America, and they don't fucking care. This is why people like the Proud Boys and stuff can walk
Soros had a good video on that.
In full armament and bulletproof shit, and with all their guns loaded to the hilt and as many guns as they fucking carry. Don't think that these people are going to sit back and say, "Oh well, that law was passed. We can't do anything now." What? You want to bet? It's gonna be fuck around and find out, and they're gonna open fire on us.
Yeah, we definitely have to fight to get a lot of these bad laws pulled off of the books.
Definitely going to take a while.
Well, I'm old and I'm not looking forward to dying. I guess I'd rather live as long as I can. But
Yep.
It's you guys that I'm worried about. Any of you out there who are under 50, you're going to have to live with this kind of horror, this kind of dictatorship, this age of secret police and dragging people off the street, and being forced to carry your papers. And it can happen here. It is happening here. The Constitution only means as much as the people who are in charge allow it to mean.
And the people in charge think it's toilet paper.
Yep. So forgive me for being a lunatic about this, but I always kind of thought America could be a cool place.
It has been. And I admit we're in a bad shape, but I still think it can be saved.
I honestly don't know if it can be saved, but I know that we have to fight, that we have to try to save it.
I suspect things will have to get worse before they get better.
Things are getting worse every day. Every day there's a new law that gets introduced or gets passed. How many? 400 laws are out there right now. 400 laws for 50 states.
It's been up.
How many laws does each
check.
state need to persecute people?
Yeah, it's up from last time I checked.
God almighty.
I did hear somebody saying that was over 400, like 411 already. So, just agreeing with what Jenny's saying there.
And in the beginning, just a few short months ago, or a year ago even, the only people you heard saying radical things were like some of these insane preachers who would say things like, all those gay people should be lined up against a wall and shot in the back of the head. Well, now you have people who are actually office holders saying that people should be exterminated. Okay? This is not overreacting. This is fascism happening now. It doesn't just flick a switch and become fascist overnight. It develops slowly by people who are elected into office. And that's what we have going on right now. All right, I'll shut up now.
No, and I'm generally agreeing with you. I just not much I can add.
Yeah, same here. So, topic change to keep things from getting stale here.
Yep. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot else going on. That's not just dealing with our joint medical issues here.
What's our theme tonight?
Nothing I think would be much of interest to anybody else. What'd you say, Jenny?
What's the theme tonight?
I made up saint so people can party.
Yep, St Urho's Day. Actually, I don't think we had any audience when I went over that, so maybe I should go over it again.
Yeah.
St Urho is a Finnish saint who is credited with driving off a plague of grasshoppers. Now, the interesting thing is that there is absolutely no evidence that anyone observed this prior to the 1950s, and it was probably made up by some people in northern Minnesota who wanted an excuse to party but didn't want to give the Irish credit for it. But even though we're almost certain that this is a made-up holiday, it is now celebrated in Finland. And it has become enough recognized that several Chicago labor unions have to give the people the day off for double pay. So I guess we've all got to get our vodka out and just, get shit-faced tonight.
I do my drinking tomorrow.
This is for Grasshopper Day?
St. Urho's Day, yeah,
Oh boy.
for getting rid of the grasshoppers. I guess maybe the official drink for the holiday should be the grasshopper, huh?
Yeah, really.
No.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, I'm not even sure what's in a grasshopper. I know a
I
popular
presume
drink in
grasshopper.
Finland is called reindeer blood. Popular Finnish drink is called reindeer blood, which is just cranberry juice with vodka.
Well, that's a cosmopolitan.
I thought Cosmo had more in it than that.
Nope. Not that I know of.
Okay, I don't know a lot about cocktails, so.
I only know a little bit about the ones I drink. I couldn't tell you anything about any of those 1950s cocktails.
I'm not sure if I could even pronounce what goes into the grasshopper. Cream de mentha, cream de cocoa.
Cream de menthe and cream de cocoa are just liqueurs.
CACAO. Cacao. And heavy cream.
That's it?
Yep.
I need some whiskey or something. Something brown.
Looks like a sort of a lime green looking drink.
That's, I imagine, where the grasshopper name comes from.
About the only thing I know about a grasshopper is that Kermit the Frog ordered it.
Well, the frogs, I would imagine, like grasshoppers. They probably don't see too much in a pond, but
It was just the line in the Muppet movie where he met Ralph.
when
They
I
wandered into the bar where Ralph was playing piano and ordered a grasshopper.
when I was a kid, sometime below the age of 10, I went to the school, Franklin Elementary School in West Dallas, Wisconsin, on 82nd and 86th and Beecher, just down the street from Beecher Meat. And one summer, there was this house on the corner that had, some bushes right on the corner, so people aren't, smashing their grass on the corner. But we just went around the bushes anyways. One year there was a grasshopper infestation. I don't know what else to term it. That we would walk by these bushes, and literally tens of thousands, it seemed, it was more than hundreds, but it was, maybe thousands of grasshoppers jumped everywhere. I mean, there was clouds of them in this one group of bushes. I'll never forget that. It was so cool.
I'm wondering if that was one of the years that the 17-year locusts emerged. Because they show up by the millions, but they only show up every 17 years.
Yeah, but not around here.
Oh yeah, we get them in Minnesota.
We had this locust out when I lived on 91st Good Hope Road in Milwaukee County. It was former farmland that had been stripped of all its topsoil and turned into subdivisions. and then people have to buy the topsoil to put back so they can grow grass. And what a scam! With all this clay-based soil that was all over the place, there were a lot of locusts, and most locusts are like 2-3 inches, that kind of thing. Fairly big ones. I caught one, honest to God. I put a ruler on it and measured. This is no exaggeration. Was 7 inches long.
Wow.
He was huge. I could barely hang on to it when it pushed with its legs. It was so strong. It was just totally cool. I let it go, but it was after I showed it to everybody. It was amazing. I had no idea that they can get that big.
I see why some people eat them.
Yeah, chocolate covered grasshoppers. I've heard of that.
Well, I've also heard of cricket flour. I suppose you can make it from grasshoppers just as well. I think that probably came about as being one of those things that the grasshoppers ate all the crops. What do we eat? Well, the only thing left to eat are the grasshoppers.
Hey, good protein.
I've always wondered about baking with cricket flour because it did seem that, that it's going to be a protein rather than a starch. How is that going to work?
Good question.
Well, bread flour has protein in it.
It has some protein, but
not
it's
everything in
still
the
more
grasshopper
starch than protein.
can be protein. It's got to have some carbohydrates in it. That's how things survive. All of us require a certain amount of glucose in our bodies. I still think grasshoppers are one of the coolest bugs out there. They look so neat. Katydids are pretty cool too.
I remember when I was growing up, down by Chicago, the first time we had the 17-year locusts, I was probably like 10 or 11. And going in the forest preserve and just seeing the holes in the ground where they emerged from. Literally the entire ground, it looked like somebody had run one of those lawn aerators over it. Because it's like, every 2 square inches of ground, there was a hole that one of these bugs had crawled out of.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, and then as they were growing and molting, just the whole forest floor being, just littered with their old shells. That there were, tens of thousands of them.
Are you talking about the 17-year cicadas instead?
Yeah.
Okay, those aren't locusts. Those are cicadas.
Yeah, that's different.
And 17-year cicadas
technically,
only live in certain areas. They're very limited resistance. Like in Wisconsin, there's a pocket near Lake Geneva of 17-year cicadas that come out every year, but you won't find a single one anywhere outside of that in southeast Wisconsin. Just as one area. You could produce them theoretically, but why would you want to?
I get cicadas in my area quite often.
Well, there's many different types of cicadas.
Yeah. I don't know their life cycle here.
I think most cicadas are just 1 or 2 years below ground. I don't know for a fact how many.
Yeah, like you say, there are several different species with overlapping range, so you'll always see, there'll always be some of them every year. It's just when they come in such a massive swarm.
I also found it really interesting, the cicadas that we would hear back home in Milwaukee would put out their little scream. First of all, they didn't show up till about August. And then they put out this shrill, buzzing, high-pitched buzzing noise that would go on for 20, 30, 40 seconds. And then it would quiet down and then another one would start, and another one, and, you know, so you heard it all day. But up here, they have a completely different chirp or squeal or whatever you want to call it, and they look completely different than the cicadas in Milwaukee. It's just interesting that close of a distance together, and they're completely different.
See, looking up, there is more than 3,000 species of cicada.
Wow.
Yep, and I'm sure each species, you know, must have its own mating call that's distinctive enough that they can tell them apart.
Huh. Very interesting.
See, we needed Bree in here tonight.
Yeah.
I saw some earrings on Etsy. I want to buy their cicada earrings that have been, I don't know how they do it, but they turn them into gold or plate them with gold somehow. I think those would be really cool. They weren't too expensive either.
That'd be interesting because the shells are pretty fragile. So I wonder how they, you know, how they preserve them so that they're solid enough.
Well,
that they don't,
one person described that they were dipped in plastic, but I don't know how they would do the gold part. You know, they can bronze or gold plate or bronze baby shoes. Used to be a popular thing to do.
Mine,
They don't burn up, and that metal's awful damn hot. I don't know how they do it, but they do.
my mom's baby shoes were bronzed.
Yeah, isn't that weird?
Yeah, I still have them.
Oh, I'd hang on to them. They're probably going to be worth
yeah,
something.
that used to be a real common tradition.
I also have my first baby shoes too, but they're actually homemade little moccasins.
My baby shoes grew up a long time ago.
My mom saved the lunch bags that I had over my feet. We couldn't afford shoes.
Hey, I actually remember doing that as a kid. That all my boots were hand-me-downs, and since they leaked, I had to put bread bags over my socks inside my boots.
I don't disagree. I did it too. I was our family hand-me-downs from family to family. You know, my aunt and uncle over there, my aunt and uncle over there. They would each, you know, everybody would exchange, not just the immediate family. And so I lived nothing but hand-me-downs for everything but my last 2 years in high school.
Yeah, as the youngest of 9, I don't think I owned anything new before I was a teenager.
I never realized how poor our family was when I was a kid. I just had no clue. But as I grew up, I realized that, oh, well, those are things that we did, and they're calling them, well, this is what poor people do and how they eat, and well, that's what we did. We must have been really poor.
The other kids at school,
shoes
I
and the
was
used
well aware of
clothes.
it.
We had this truck that was handed down from generation to generation. It went through like six or seven relatives before I had it. And I had, just for 2 years, and I gave it away to the next young relative who was just learning to drive. It was kind of neat. It had like 300,000 miles on it. Some big old 62 GMC pickup. That's weird. Hand-me-downs make sense though. There's no reason you can't.
My first car was a hand-me-down. I got a 66 Buick Century from my brother.
Oh man, that was huge.
No, it was only the 2-door. It was only the 2-door. It wasn't that big. I did have a huge one once. At one point, I owned a 75 Chrysler New Yorker. You could sleep 4 in the trunk.
I would still, well, I guess not anymore because I can't fix it up and stuff. But I still fantasize about having '59 Chevy Impala. That's the one with the big wings on the back. I just thought they were so cool looking. My mom had one. It was for her first car. She bought a used one, and my brother and I painted it black with her permission. Oh, it was a horrible job. We used spray cans.
Oh,
Oh, I forget how old we were. Junior high, maybe. And mom let us do that. It's like, wow. I guess she really didn't care.
yeah.
Oh, jeez. But I love those things. There was one that lived in the neighborhood I was in Milwaukee, the last place, and it was a low rider, and it was painted that hot, intensely hot day glow pink that you can see for like 10 miles away. It was intense, and then it would come by and start jumping and stuff. It was pretty cool. I liked it.
I remember this old guy who would do jog around, and he's had this like big ZZ top up beard. He had his cane, and he wear this day glow pink spandex. He's sitting there jogging down the street.
Yeehaw! Did you pick that out yourself, huh? Oh man, what we do to ourselves, eh? Oh, good, I found it.
Yeah. Well, I've been trying to put together a wardrobe on virtually no budget, so almost all of the women's clothes I have came from the thrift store at this point. I'm sure I'm not making anyone think I'm rich, but it's what I can afford.
If I was a normal size, I would have done most, and I still would do most of my shopping at a Goodwill or something like that. I'm just so disgustingly fat that anybody who's fat never gives their clothes away because they're so hard to find to begin with.
Yeah, at least I have that going for me. That I'm on the larger size for a woman, but I'm not completely out of the normal size ranges.
In fact, I think that my fatness is part of what makes me easier at going being stealth, is not getting clocked, because they see more just this fat person than they do a fat man or fat woman, because people are so hung up on fat in this society.
Yeah. Well, I have felt that doing it at this age is working to my advantage, just because people don't look at a woman in her 50s as much as they look at a woman in her 20s.
Yeah, I think that also makes a difference. Of course, I was in my 20s when I started this whole mess, and it was much more difficult then.
Looking at a movie I saw a long time ago called Bloody Mallory. It's a French movie. The one I saw was dubbed over in English, though rather poorly.
What was it about?
Mallory is the head of an elite government-run strike force and is dedicated to combating the supernatural. Kind of gave me Buffy the Vampire Slayer vibes. Her team includes the drag queen Venya Nikava, who I think actually was played more like a trans woman, seeing as the character forgot that they were dressing as a drag queen and thought they actually were a woman. An explosive, an explosives expert, a mute preteen and telepath is capable of possessing others named Talking Tina.
That sounds like a typically weird French movie.
It was weird, yeah, but they're apparently trying to go for this hyper realistic anime manga style, according to the IMD or according to the Wikipedia here. I can see it.
Oh, it was an animated film, not
No,
live.
it was live action, but they were trying to give it more of an animated vibe to it.
Well, that's different.
Honestly, like I said, me, I thought it was like just they were trying to ride the Buffy the Vampire Slayer fame at the time. This is from the 2002.
Sorry, I'm just trying to just keep up with the side chat. We got a good discussion started on thrift store shopping, though.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, one of my biggest problems is trying to find boots. It seems that they must think that all women have skinny legs.
Well, a lot of them do.
Yeah, well, I spent most of my working life on my feet, so it
Well,
seems my thighs are too muscular that most of the boots I find I can't zip up over my thigh or over my calves.
What's your shoe size?
Yeah, and a woman's about 10.5.
Get a hold of a mail order company, Lane Bryant or Romans or Woman Within. They handle larger size shoes. You know, they can get you up to a 12 double E.
Oh, I know there's places online I can buy them. I just can't afford those.
Could you afford $50 for a pair of boots?
That would rather be pressing it.
Okay.
I might.
Okay.
Yeah.
I get myself expensive pair of boots, but they last me a good long while.
Yeah, decades ago, Red Wing Shoes had a lifetime guarantee on their work boots. And I know because my dad wore out several pair of them, but they tended to last him about 15 to 20 years. Right now I got 2 pair of boots and one of them's leaking. I'm hoping I can fix them.
I think
because right now if I step in a puddle, my socks get wet.
I think women's shoes are made incredibly bad. They don't last for nothing.
Oh yeah.
They're just not right. They don't last at all.
That's not just women's either. I had the same thing with men's shoes, but nothing's really made to last in our society anymore. Anyway.
I don't know. I bought some $15 a pair at Walmart tennis shoes. That God, those things went almost 5 years. $3 a year for a penny a day for shoes. That's pretty cheap. They weren't very nice, but
Paul, I appreciate the offer, but I am sure there is no way I could pay you nearly what it would be worth for your time. I don't know how many hours it would take to make a pair of boots, but
well, maybe you could trade sex. Right? I'm sorry.
That's part of my problem online is that, the skills I have that I can barter are not things I can send through the internet. I have to be able to come to your house to fix things for you.
Well, couldn't you buy one of those machines? Never mind. I still routinely go to consignment shops, resale shops, and get kitchen stuff. You can get some. I got a whole set of really nice cast iron cookware. They weren't all the same brand, but over time of a couple of months, I was able to find everything I really wanted except for a Dutch oven.
Nice.
Yeah, I was very happy with that.
I like cast iron.
Mhm.
I can't use nonstick because my bird. So
Actually, I had a good find at the thrift store last week. I've got a brand new covered wok set here, still in the original box. I'd opened up the box and it looks like it was never taken out of the plastic inside.
I've been
So nobody's
hoping
ever used it.
to find a cast iron wok. I know they make them.
This one's not cast iron. It's just a steel wok with some kind of a nonstick coating.
hmm.
But I've been wanting a decent sized wok for a while.
I used to love going into my favorite Chinese restaurant and watching them cook in the wok. It was right up front, so you could see it clearly. The guys, I mean, his wok was about 3 feet in diameter, almost a foot deep, and he just throwing shit in and just cooking it perfectly in minutes, and it just wow, what a talent.
I like going to those Japanese steakhouses where they cook the food right at your table.
Mm-hmm. Or the Mongolian barbecue, where they've got basically just it's like a 4-foot steel table with a heating element under it.
Same
That
idea.
he can have several dishes going on there at one time.
Yeah, basically the same idea. The Japanese steakhouse places they'll put on a show with how they cook the food and all that.
Yep.
Yeah, I think they go to a special knife throwing school.
My
So nobody gets hurt, especially the customers.
I imagine it takes quite a bit of training to be able to do that.
My dad was a meat cutter, and we had nice knives at home, and I tried to learn some of that stuff, self-taught. And after I cut my hand the first time, I said, "Nah, I think we'll quit this." No, don't grab the wrong end.
Yeah, you don't want to grab the wrong end of a blade.
I used to do pretty well with juggling my hammer. Just throw it up in the air and spin it and be able to catch it. I don't think I'd want to try that with something that's got a cutting edge on it.
There's this thrift store in La Crosse that for a month or so last summer, they had this pair of women's jeans that were kind of a peach orangey kind of color, and they were real legitimate bell bottoms from the 60s. I had to go in to look at them. They're just beautiful, but they're also like a size 10.
Going with what Aunt Drew asked, I was looking it up, and looks like they have a 14-inch seasoned cast iron wok design Ford cookware for about $50 on Amazon.
Really?
There's a 12-inch pre-seasoned one, heavy duty, for $25.
Well, that's not bad.
I would be skeptical of cast iron one at that price.
They have a really nice fancy one that's $139 for 12-inch with lid.
Good night, Angie.
Night, night, Ange. Go give him hell in Arkansas. Shape that legislature up.
Angie's in Texas.
Oh, why do I keep thinking someone's in Arkansas? I accused a godless granny of being in Arkansas, and I don't know why I'm so stuck on that.
I don't know offhand. I can't think of anybody in Arkansas, but certainly don't know where everybody's from.
33-inch 14-inch chef's pan pre-seasoned non. How do you have pre-seasoned and non-stick for cast iron?
Well, because if it's seasoned correctly, cast iron is pretty much non-stick.
I wouldn't trust anything that's non-stick personally.
No, a cast iron pan that is properly seasoned, if you know how to care for it, is good. I bought Sloth Girl a set of the nonstick cookware after we moved here, but she does have one cast iron pan for grilling steaks.
Naturally non-stick for the $50 one. I'd have to know what was causing the non-stick.
I love these miracle cookware advertises on TV, granite or whatever they call themselves nowadays. Now they come out in different colors. Oh, now you can't get these green ones in the store. You can't get these blue ones in the store. I wouldn't get any of them in the store. God.
Okay, they're contradicting. Has non-stick coating? No. So I guess that doesn't mean that whatever they use for seasoning is non-stick.
Okay, Jen Antjer just posted a link for the one she's got.
When I used to have money, I used to love shopping for kitchen stuff in the industrial supply, restaurant direct sellers and stuff like that. They had such good quality stainless stuff, and it was going to last you forever.
Yeah, you were just saying about how they advertise them in colors you can't get in the stores. One thing I ran across at the thrift store now that has got me going is I found one Tefal frying pan that's purple. So they make them in that color. So somewhere along the line, the company has to have sold a set of those.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's purple. I need it.
Do a Craigslist search for cookware or bakeware or kitchen utensils, and you'll be amazed at what you can find. People get like a set of cookware and then don't want it because they've already got some, and they sell it virtually brand new.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Nothing. You got to watch the people who are, always trying to charge more than shit's worth. But
back in the 80s when the Teflon things were, pretty new, my brother had a job selling the nonstick cookware. And one of his selling points, they said, actually helped him make sales for a lot of guys, was talking about how much lighter it was, so it doesn't hurt as much when your wife hits you with it.
Boy, is that ever sexist. Oh, back on the TV, there's this one TV seller right now that's got this set of pots and pans. They look like the right size pots and pans, and they got clear lids and stuff like that. But they never talk about how thick they are, and that's the difference in a pot and pan is how thick the damn metal is. You get these stamped aluminum pieces of crap that are less than an eighth of an inch thick, and it's like, oh yeah, it's going to burn everything. But then they're also selling these knives, and they're these classic production knives that are just crap, and they're saying, "Oh, $600 value." Let's cut it out. Oh, geez.
Well, yeah, and the knife commercials are the biggest scam. Showing you how incredibly sharp it is. It's like, yeah, even cheap knives are sharp when they're brand new. How does that hold an edge after a year?
Yeah. You can take a ruler and sharpen it.
Nothing holds an edge. Nothing. It's just not possible. It's not the nature of a blade. The tip folds over, and you've got a dull knife. That's why you have a steel, is to straighten the last thousandth of an inch back to straightness. It's still sharp. It's
Yeah.
just bent over.
It's a matter of how long. Yeah.
Yeah, but the higher the quality of the steel for the blade, the longer it'll hold an edge before it gets noticeably duller.
And also how it's been sharpened too.
Well, see, that's the thing. Most people think their knife is dull when it doesn't need to be sharpened, and it needs to be treated with a steel, and which is what takes that last half a millimeter of steel and shapes it back into an up and down blade instead
Yeah.
of a curled over edge.
Yeah, you just need to hone the edge a little bit. It doesn't really need to be sharpened.
My dad was real good at sharpening the knives.
Yeah, I have felt that my grandpa turns over in his grave that I never properly learned how to sharpen my tools. I wind up taking them to somebody else.
I've gotten pretty good at my pocket knives and stuff like that. I've never really practiced on anything, kitchen sized.
I got myself a multi sharpener that works pretty well.
I haven't seen none of those.
There's a sharpener for scissors, and
Yeah, I've got a little
knife.
sharpener that's basically, it's like two of the sharpening steels and a little V.
Oh, let me
So,
give you
yeah,
sharpening advice from somebody with 30 years of being a pro. If you ever see a product called Drill Doctor, don't waste your money. it's for sharpening drills, and it does an absolutely atrocious job.
Yep, I had one of those many years ago.
Yeah, the bit that you put in it's not fixed tightly in one spot. You're supposed to be turning it by hand, and right away that makes for wobble and a bad cut. You don't have any choice as to what angle the drill bit is, 15 or 40 or whatever. It's just terrible. It's just don't waste your money.
Yeah, that does sound terrible if you can't have any option on the angle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because for kind of different materials, you actually need the bit sharpened at a different angle, depending on how hard or soft the material you're going into is.
I like watching on YouTube these guys who have the proper tools, a forge and stuff like that, and are able to pound out their own Damascus type steel knives and cut them and sharpen them and put a handle on them and stuff. It's amazing the niceness. I assume that they're going to be good quality because the guy certainly seems to know what they're doing. Damascus steel is so pretty.
Interestingly enough, what we would call Damascus steel isn't actually Damascus steel.
No, I think it's called that because of the technique, and I might be using it wrong. I thought that, I remember looked it up in the book, but people say Damascus steel when it's that stuff that looks like it's layer upon layer upon layer upon layer upon layer, and
yeah,
that pretty patterned stuff they call Damascus steel.
Yeah.
That's actually not Damascus steel though. It's just something we ended up calling.
I watched this one PBS show, and they did a demo on how these guys would make samurai swords and things in years past, and how they would create the steel back then, before there was anything much beyond a hammer. And it's just incredible that they would figure all this stuff out and do such a good job of it. I guess they can dig up 1,000-year-old samurai sword, and it's better quality steel than you can buy today.
No, that's not quite true.
Well, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but still the quality is extremely high, and if you could do it yourself, you'd be impressing people.
Yeah, well, it's the workmanship. It's about people who dedicated their entire life to mastering a single craft.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the guys they were using was definitely not in his 50s.
Night, Randy.
Right, Monica, man. Oh, Paul, you're a trained blacksmith? Cool. You say they're not always the same thing. What's the difference?
Well, I know the technique for Damascus steel does involve, beating it really thin and folding it over on itself so that you develop those layers like that.
Yeah.
That it's several very thin layers, which then instead of being like a solid piece of steel, it makes it more like a laminated steel, and that
Yeah.
makes it flexible and much more resistant to breaking.
And I always thought the name Damascus steel was not to indicate where it's from or what kind of steel it is, but the technique for building that knife that way is what I thought the Damascus referred to.
Well, it originally, like in the Middle Ages, it originally was about the town that it was first forged in.
Well, yeah, of course. I don't care though. We're in modern days.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
looking
the
at that.
modern meaning is more about the technique.
Oh, Jinzu found you a link for purple cookware.
Clearly, they want Purple to go broke. They clicked on it and looking through it.
Oh.
Unless maybe I had a generous channel supporter who wanted to buy me a present.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Let's go dump $600 on Purple's cookware.
No, that kind of like that knife set with the purple handles.
I like kitchen utensils. Some of them are so cool. I love OXO as a brand. They just build a lot of stuff that works right first time.
Yeah, I'd have to check with Sloth Girl about, which of these, for the cooking stuff, which brands are worthwhile.
I always try to figure out what they're using on like America's Test Kitchen. Their pots and pans. Once in a while, they'll actually say the brand of it, and sometimes you'll see them as they, tip it over. You'll see the name on the bottom and stuff like that because they do awful good. That must be the good stuff.
Well, Sloth Girl does that too, and she does watch just a lot of YouTube stuff, to see which brands they're using and, and which ones that they give reviews on.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Paul. Now I've learned something for sure.
One of the things that has rather ticked me off, though, even with the, I got Sloth Girl the Blue Diamond because she said that was, from what she had seen, that was a really good brand from the reviews she had watched. And one of the things that pisses me off is that they always exaggerate the sizes. They always exaggerate the capacity of these things. Like they'll tell you it's a 5-quart pot.
Yeah, up to the very
And
edge.
if you pour 4.5 quarts in, it's overflowing.
They do the same thing with watering cans.
Yeah, so I don't know how they get away with, claiming those sizes.
I had to make volume marks on a coolant bucket that has a spout on it, like a garden. What do you call that thing again? You use? It's got the snout on it and a thing on the end. Watering plant watering.
What watering can?
Watering can, yeah. Coolant cans are like a watering can, except they're for coolant, and you don't want to put water and use it then. And I had to calibrate it, and so you dump in a quart and make a mark, dump in another quart, make a mark. And I couldn't believe it was like 2 quarts off by the time I got to the top of it. That their markings were just incorrect.
Yeah, they're more like approximations. You can't really go by those. Now, see, that I could understand, but that's not what's happening, because if it was 5 liters instead of 5 quarts, it would actually be about a pint larger. They just lie about it, that's all.
Yeah, it's all marketing.
Well, like my slow cooker, I think they said was supposed to be a 6 quart. And the only way I can see that they can call it that is if they're talking about the capacity of the outer metal shell that the actual ceramic thing sits in. So basically, they're talking about the exterior volume of the ceramic rather than the interior volume of it.
Measure the exterior and then, okay, that's a 6 quarts, huh?
What makes me crazy about pots and pan sets is I want to be able to get a 10-inch or a 12-inch fry pan, saute pan, whatever you want to call it, that has a lid. Okay, and when you buy these sets, they give you one for one of the fry pans, but never the big one. Some
Yep.
stuff needs to be covered while you cook it.
Well, it wasn't part of the set I bought for Soft Girl. I had to buy it separately, but from the same company. That they have. I forget exactly what they called it, but yeah, it's like a 5 quart pan. I call it a chicken fryer. But that's like, it's a huge frying pan with the straight sides and a lid. It's the only thing big enough that you can actually get, like, 3 or 4 good sized hamburger patties in it.
I have what was my mom's, which was her mom's breakfast griddle. It's just a round. It's about 10-inch, 12-inch, probably 10-inch. Flat, cast iron griddle, which I will heat up on the stove. I really like that thing. Makes great pancakes.
Yeah, I remember the stove my mom had when I was a kid. That it had the 4-burner stove, but then in the middle it had a cast iron griddle actually set into the top of it.
Oh yeah, I've seen
And
it.
the griddle itself was like the whole length back to front, and it was wider than the burners.
Yeah, that's a cool thing. I love antique stoves. The stuff that was built around the turn of the century and stuff that are all enamel and up on legs and have a fairly small oven. But sometimes they'll have like 6 burners, instead of just 4. A lot of them are just in really nice shape, and you just got to clean them up and have at, and they work. And I saw a few years back, 5-10 years, somebody was building new stoves to look exactly like an old stove, with the classic Art Deco kind of lines and trim and decorations on it and all that. I thought, and then making it available in like a bright red, or a bright blue, which they never did with antique stoves and stuff. They were all white or beige.
Yeah, I refurbished one once. A woman I had done some work for had this electric range from like the early 60s, and she loved it, but one by one the heating elements were going out. So she asked me if I could do anything about it, and I had to source down all the parts for it, and basically I stripped all the electrical components out and replaced them all with new wiring and new components.
Yeah, the elements are easy. They unplug.
Well, the elements are easy. All the wiring between the cord and the elements is the hassle.
Oh, the melting stuff was melting or something, or
Most of the insulation was gone from the wiring. It was a fire hazard.
yeah, that kind of would be. Well, I mentioned I replaced the oven heating element in the stove I have here at home.
Yep.
I was concerned it was going to be a very difficult job, and then I looked at YouTube, and found it 2 screws and 2 wires to unplug and plug back in. It took
Actually,
maybe,
most appliance repair these days is not that difficult because it's usually just, swapping out components.
yeah, it's getting the components that's hard.
Yeah, over the years I've learned where to find them, but I suppose if you don't have any experience with it, it would be difficult to do it at first.
Well, nowadays, if you have a model number of the appliance you're looking for, you can find it right online. Whatever parts you want, there's these warehouses that just have, hot point, cold spot, Sylvania, RCA, all of them, RCA, General Electric, and you just, as long as you punch in the right number, you'll get the parts you need.
Yeah. And Sammy is saying that it is time to put away the computer and play with the cat. He's trying to knock the keyboard out of my lap again.
Test the cat, see if it has wings.
We're still working on that.
They don't have wings, but they are very good at the falling part without breaking. You have to throw a cat pretty hard for it to break something on the landing.
I saw this YouTube video of it was a border collie. Actually, I've seen 2. One was a border collie. One was a Siberian husky. That were in an outdoor pen. It had like this screen, which was like 4-inch, openings for between each wire. And these dogs learned, and it looked like it was 8 to 12 feet high. It was big. And these dogs were able to climb up the metal screening, in the corner. It seemed to be the most convenient for them, and poke through the top, which was also screened, and get the hell out of the damn cage. It was amazing. Dogs climbing that high, climbing at all. Jesus. And then being able to jump down and not wreck anything, not break a leg.
I know what you mean. I've seen videos of dogs climbing a chain link fence in the corner like that. I guess they can't do it when it's flat because their weight's too far backwards, but where they've got the 2 fences at a 90-degree angle, they can support their weight.
I miss my dogs. I wish I had my dogs.
I've been toying around with the idea of getting a dog.
I would if I had a yard for him to run in. I just think it's kind of unfair to have a dog in a small apartment like this.
Thinking getting a smaller dog.
Yeah, it depends on what size dog. A little bitty dog, those things work just fine in apartments.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe like a small terrier. Then I also have my my garden from the run around in too. So
terriers are very high energy. You got to know that if you're going to get a terrier, they want to be out and running like crazy. They're nuts.
Mind you, if you pick the right dog, it could help you protect your chickens.
Yeah.
Or eat them.
That's why I said you got to pick the right dog.
I'll never forget the time the people I got my Bosch, my white shepherd, German shepherd from. They said, "Well, bring her back in a year. We'd like to see how she grew up." I said, "Well, okay." So I took her back there in a year, and they were on these farm people out in Sheboygan County. Real nice folks, real nice farm. And they said, "Oh, well, I had her on leash," and they said, "Well, you can let her run," because they had other dogs there, and Bosch decided not to play with any of the dogs, but she started letting out all their chickens, and there were these really fancy kind of chickens, and I'm going, "Oh my God!" Fortunately, she didn't.
Yeah, I'm sure it did.
Any.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm sure it did have like the one big oven, and then it had like a little side oven that was only like 1/3 as wide. I was actually told that the side oven was actually just a bread warmer rather than a full oven. that apparently the purpose of that narrow side oven was just a warm place for rising the bread before you bake it.
Yeah, I got to make some bread. I got a bread machine. I haven't made any bread in a long time.
I didn't do too well with making bread. I tried it for a while, but I could not get consistent results.
Get a bread making machine.
I had a bread making machine. I still couldn't get consistent results. I think there's too much problems with the humidity and the temperature changing too much.
Where were you living then?
St. Paul.
Huh. So I've made bread year round, just same recipe all the time. It always works. Maybe
yeah, sometimes it'd come out fine. Machine. Sometimes I'd come out with just a little brick that was inedible.
My dad used to make bread.
Maybe you just had a lousy bread maker.
And like I say, the problem was it was inconsistent, that I was very careful about the measuring and sure I had everything the same every time. But just from one day to the next, I didn't get the same result. I never could figure out, what was the variable that I wasn't able to take care of, other than, just the humidity and the temperature in the house.
That just doesn't make sense. I mean, I've never heard anybody else complain about that. I think the problem might lie elsewhere. In the back of most of the owner's manuals that come with them, they give big charts of what's wrong with the bread and what you can try to change it and all this kind of stuff. I've never had to use them myself, but they're there.
Yeah, I'm sure at the time I was measuring by volume. I didn't find out about the thing of measuring by weight until after that.
I always measure by volume. I know weight is supposed to be more accurate, but I've never had a scale. And then the damn instructions don't give it to you in weight. They just tell you volume.
Yeah, Paul, we can find those the frozen bread loaves that you bake at home. Those aren't hard to find.
Those are kind of yucky. They got a real soft crust, like that crappy store-bought bread. They're just not good bread recipe.
Yeah, because they have to be able to take being frozen after they've been allowed to rise a bit, so it does throw the texture off. I'm sure they have to use a slightly different recipe. Yeah, it's not great.
I heard once that all the putty bread that you buy at the store, the store brand stuff in a plastic bag, is not baked, but it's steamed, and that the color is painted on. I don't know if that's true, but
no. No, I've seen the videos of how they bake bread on in factory stores.
And it was actually.
I will say that the loaves of bread that they have like on the covers of cookbooks and that probably is not real bread and is probably just painted.
No, it's food photography. It's not real. All food photography is faked. I used to do it myself.
Yeah, I worked at General Mills for a while, and I saw how they did the photography when they need the box art for a new product. Of like their baking mixes and how the product's supposed to look when you finish.
Mm-hmm. It's not uncommon at all to spray varnish or spray shellac a loaf of bread in a matte finish to just to give it body, and it gives a little bit of specular highlight but not really glossy because it's a flat finish. So it looks more real because bread isn't supposed to be glossy. There's lots of very cool tricks to make it look edible and when it's not. Oh,
I actually don't eat very much bread anymore. It was not something I ever intentionally did. I just have kind of moved away from it over the years. Not a lot of interest in it.
I like to get bread rolls, heat them up and eat them. Just plain.
I like getting Pillsbury crescent rolls and wrapping up a hot dog.
That's good. Yeah, I've done that
Oh.
before.
Yep, the pig's in a blanket that way.
Like the Pillsbury orange rolls they have.
Well, and if I've got something that's got a good sauce or a thick gravy, I can make a whole meal out of just some good bread and good gravy. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, that's one of those depression dishes.
Yeah, maybe that's why it's kind of a comfort food to me. In such a large family, everything had to be stretched a long way.
Mm-hmm.
Having to go back to that at this rate.
But it's really neat though. Like when we got gravy bread, we thought it was cool. We thought it was something special. Mom would always kind of put it to us that way, and so we sucked into it, and didn't think we were poor and depressed because so we have to eat this crappy food. But that it was something special, and she used to do just canned beans, like Bush's baked beans or something like that on a hamburger bun, and you just bake it in the broiler for a while. And we thought that was like super cool. And tuna casserole with 1 can of tuna.
Yep.
Well, 1 can of tuna went a lot longer back then too.
Yeah, they actually were larger cans. And they've been downsizing those over the decades.
Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, I was able to get several sandwiches out of 1 can of tuna. Now, lucky if you get one.
No, I can get 2 easy. I do that all the time.
Yeah.
In fact, I steal the mayonnaise single serve packets from a restaurant, McDonald's or something, and I use that for the tuna, and I mix it right in the can. It's tricky, but you can do it. So you only got like 1 fork is dirty dishes.
Well, that's always a special treat for the cats is they get the juice out of the tuna can.
My last dog, Cubby, did not like tuna. I offered him fresh tuna right out of the can, and he just no. I just turn around, walk away. I've never had a dog.
Well, Simon Simone, one of the cats that I had brought in from the feral colony in New York, he would not touch tuna, which I found very suspicious. So I always wondered if somebody had been putting out tainted tuna to try and get rid of the feral cats.
Oh, that's pretty cruel.
Yeah, he would not touch it. I mean, he wouldn't even walk up to the dish. He'd smell it from 3 feet away, and he would not even get close to the dish.
And you get a stupid dog like my last one, Cubby, and he would hunt down rat poison. Where is it? Where is it? As soon as he finds it, he'd eat it. Jesus Christ, dog.
My late fiance's cats, that was part of how I won over her cats, was that for breakfast every morning, that the doctor wanted her to cut down her cholesterol, so I was, just doing egg whites for her and taking the yolks out. So then I would give the cats just the like a forkful of tuna out of the can with the egg yolk. And that's what I was giving the cats for breakfast every morning.
God, I love bacon and eggs for breakfast. I would eat it 3 meals a day. Used to be able to before you had to.
I love bacon, but it's such a mess to cook it that just the cleanup process afterwards sometimes just doesn't seem worth it.
No, I haven't done it, but my sister-in-law does her bacon in the microwave all the time.
I recently got myself a
Yeah.
tray for making bacon in the microwave.
I always thought
Well,
it was actually quite good.
Yeah, doing bacon in the microwave is fine, like for one person, but you really can't do more than like 4 or 5 strips at a time.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to make it for a group of people, it just doesn't work because
Yeah.
then the first batch is stone cold before you get the third batch done.
Yeah, for a large, if you're doing a large batch, you want to do it in a pan, and you really even so you wouldn't want to do it in the microwave, even in large batches anyway, because that could actually damage your microwave.
Yeah, actually, if you're going to do it for a group of people, it's best to do it in the oven.
Yeah, I've had it that way too. That's pretty decent.
Lay it out on the jelly roll pan, which is like the baking sheet that's got like a 1/2-inch ledge around it, so it holds the grease in.
Darcy would always put it on like a cooling rack on top of a cookie sheet, and that way the bacon was never sitting in the grease while it cooked. But then you save.
You're right.
Then you save the bacon fat, liquid gold.
What do you do with it?
You can add it to all kinds of stuff. You can add it to like a vinaigrette for just a light bacon taste for on a salad or something like that. You can kick up you're making some beef soup. You can kick it up a little bit that way. You can put it in when you're mixing for a meatloaf, and just give it a little bacon taste. And
it is good for greasing the pans when you're cooking something else, or especially if you like do fried potatoes in it.
Yeah, that is done. And eggs cooked in bacon fat is real special.
I'll have to give some of this a try.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too sure about the vegan tuna not being the same ingredients as cat food, because actually, if you read the ingredients, a lot of cat food has very little meat in it. A lot of it is mostly grains with just, like a little bit of meat flavoring or meat byproducts.
I think they should start requiring cat food to be made out of rats. Let them harvest the rats off the street and stuff like that. Take care of our rat problem.
Well, they tried mice flavored your cat food, and the cats didn't like the taste of it.
I didn't know they had ever made that. But as far as cat food goes, I've been very loyal to the Iams brand for the last 30-some years. That's all I've fed any of my cats.
And it makes a pretty good hamburger.
Well, mostly the Iams dry, but just that. Yeah, the Iams has a lot less of the fillers, and it has a lot more of the actual meat that's usually fish or chicken. Yep, I do that, Aunt Jer. When I finish a stick of butter, I keep the wrapper in my fridge and I use it to grease the cookie sheets for when I'm baking something.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, just rub it on the cookie sheets before you put them in.
Well, I mean, I know about rubbing the sheets with butter, but I've never heard of using the empty wrappers. That's an interesting idea.
Yep. Bacon grease makes an excellent liniment for joint problems.
Yeah, it's real good for a joint problem, but then you have dogs that want to bite your knees.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of wondering about. That do you wind up smelling like bacon all day? You find the neighborhood dogs are real friendly.
Yeah, well, I was so ugly. My parents tied a pork chop around my neck so the dog would play with me, and it wouldn't.
Well, I
It's like
think too
my
much of
mom's
it would certainly
cooking.
make anyone sick. That's why I
Yeah.
wouldn't use it in any large amounts. I would just, use like a little dab to grease a pan. But like I say, if you're making fried potatoes, you'd wind up using a lot of oil. So that's a case where, it's not bad to use the bacon grease for that because you'd be pouring on a fair amount of oil anyway.
Mel, are you old enough to be in heart attack territory?
Well, that can happen at any age.
Yeah, but it's much less likely.
Yeah. The chances of it increase as you grow older, no question about that. But also a question of family history. What are your genetics have?
42. Have you had any pain radiating down your arms, particularly on the left side?
Hey, Dick.
Do you find yourself short of breath?
Yeah, actually, Paul, I've heard that that's a good trick. That if you've got dogs or cats who like chew on cords, that a good way to do it is to just soak some cayenne pepper in water and then wipe that over the cords and they'll leave it alone because they can't stand the taste or the smell of it.
It could be, Mel. If I spend too much time in an air conditioned space, I will get chest aches. When you breathe in, you can just kind of like feel it going down your throat and like it's dry and achy and stuff like that. But it's only if I'm in AC too long.
Well, one of the main
We're
jobs of
talking
AC
hours and hours.
systems,
Huh?
one of the main jobs of AC systems, as much as cooling, is dehumidifying.
Uh-huh.
So you get much drier air.
Yep. Well, okay, no pain down the arms, no shortness of breath. I would say stop playing with your tits. Air quality
But
is
if
one
I
way.
don't
I don't
play
know
with
what that
them, who
means.
will?
Dick Dawson? Dick Dawson's here? Where's Dick Dawson?
Yeah, he
Oh,
just came in a little bit ago.
oh, I missed it. Hi, Dick. How's the Dick doing? Well,
Air
how are
quality
you
is
doing?
148. I don't know what the number means there. Oh, okay. So you mean like the smog or the pollen count?
Air quality value of 50 or below represents good air quality. Value over 300 represents hazardous air quality.
Yeah, I think it's like how many parts of particulate matter per million,
Probably.
or how many parts of particulate matter per cubic foot or something.
Well, Wolf, you're amazing how you look up everything so quickly like that. It's nice to have you around.
Yeah, I can't type that fast anymore.
I don't exactly type all that fast.
Oh. I feel for you, Mel. I had COVID a year ago, and I know it's cost me lung capacity. I don't have nearly the endurance I used to have. And the doctors say that's just permanent. There's nothing that they can do about it.
Well, you should have gotten yourself that ivermectin sooner. Or drank some of that bleach like Trump said.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that Trump wasn't drinking the bleach either.
What a dope. That man is just such a dope. Paul, are you really going to go over into combat?
Nah, I have been finding a number of the things that Paul said tonight to be kind of questionable. So I think he's kind of, pulling our leg on some things here. But I think we'll wrap it up here for the night. As my name says, I was tired when we came on, so. And I think I'm going to have to get up early in the morning. I'm still waiting for confirmation. So, anybody have anything coming up that they want to plug before we go?
Jenny?
I'll
plug that March again.
March 31st, Day of Trans Visibility. There's going to be a big march in every major city. Starts around 5 o'clock local time. And the more people there, the better. We got to show these politicians that we're not just going to go lay down and let them kill us. They're going to have to fight us. Please help. This is serious, and it is a genocide developing. That's all.
All right. I got the first part of the sound part of the video for Tuesday he finished, so I'll be doing the garden tips video. Tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'll be going on to RHE podcast for that postponed evolution discussion. And on Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'll be having Bree on and to talk about bugs in the garden from Hive Science. Quite a full plate for me.
Yeah, sounds like it. And, kind of your first celebrity guest star, so.
Yeah. Oh, and one other thing. I'll put a link in here in the chat. This guy, he's a YouTuber, goes by Egotastic Fun Time. And he had his channel demonetized. And he just got rear-ended, so he can't even make money. He doing like Uber or driving around or anything. He needs to get money for his car, for a new car. So if anyone can help him out.
How did he get demonetized? What did he do?
Not really sure. I'm guessing maybe they do a lot of copyright strike stuff since he covers stuff like the Orville and Star Trek and things like that. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, it's not hard to get demonetized on YouTube these days.
I'm guessing it was probably a retroactive thing, but.
And if somebody out there has a Twitter account that you can give me, so I can get back on Twitter. I promise I'll never use it for nefarious purposes.
Well, I'll just be doing my usual thing here again next week, Wednesday at noon, Thursday at 10 p.m. Next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Central, I'll be on with Claire Bear doing reading the Am I an Asshole threads. So.
Answer is yes.
I try not to be, but I guess I don't always succeed.
I don't have to question it. I know I'm an asshole.
Well, I mean, sometimes I am intentionally, but that's a different situation. Excuse me. So with that, I would like to, thank the people who helped keep me going here. Skits Crasher has been very generous. Greg Hartwick is always very generous with everyone in the community. And the Lavender Lady, Kitty, Robert X, Southern Sal, and Vonrek. I appreciate you all helping me pay the bills and, letting me keep doing this.
Nice to meet you, Mel. Come again. Just don't get caught.
And the other thing that you can get a hold of me on Twitter. In about a month, we're going to be having our channel's 5th anniversary. So, I think it's a good time for doing some AMA. So I'm, looking for questions from the audience, things that you'd like me to answer.
You're going to do that show solo, right?
If I have to, I will. But I know my good friends will always be here with me.
That's okay. I'll do an AMA with you.
Yeah, I'll join you.
Yeah.
Do we get to ask each other AMA questions? Sure,
that'd be fun.
Okay.
If you actually have anything you want to know, well, I think it's going to be more likely anything you already know about me that you want to pry out in public.
Well, I was curious about those like pinch marks that you have on your shoulder.
Okay, you got to save that for the anniversary show, though.
Oh, I'm sorry.
When was the anniversary show again?
Well, the actual channel anniversary is May 1st. So let's see what's our show date that's going to be closest to that.
It'll be May 3rd.
Yeah, May 1st is a Monday. So yeah, we'll probably be doing that May 3rd then. Hey. So, appreciate all you people out there in the side chat. It's like
I forgot to mention something
before you doing this.
Before you close out chat. I learned something that I want to pass on to you guys. Because we're trying to get this to spread all over. And everybody complains about LGBTQI and all the letters I can't remember and blah blah blah. So we're boiling it down to a one word. Ligbitqua.
You still need to work on that. It's going to be difficult to pronounce.
Yeah, but once you got it, you got it.
I thought it was pronounced queer.
Well, maybe you are, but not all of us are queer.
Okay, good night, everyone.
Good night, all.